Hi everybody, that's Allie.
And that is Dash,
Welcome to our playdate.
where we choose a game, sometimes make up our own rules, and play for a while.
Enjoy listening and playing along.
Or don't. We can't hear you. It's a podcast.
What else did the Killers put out?
They had a bunch of albums. I think they're still doing stuff. Song by the Killers, 2004.
Okay.
So it wasn't overseas, but I left shortly after that. So if it was released in 2004 and then became big in like 2005, I was peaced out.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like I sort of missed it, and then I came back and had to like pretend like I liked it retroactively.
Yeah.
For me, it was like that was like the Snow Patrol years, like where I was real into Snow Patrol and real into the Fray. Like that's
Okay.
That's where I was living in the Mr. Brightside years.
Snow Patrol, wow.
Man, listen, Snow Patrol slaps. We should listen to Snow Patrol after this.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah. Man, that's such a good album. Snow Patrol. Hi, little ghosties.
Hi, everybody.
We're on the other end of the road trip. We had a great improv weekend. We met some super cool people. Sang some solid karaoke.
Oh, yeah, it was a blast.
I
ate at my first ever Waffle House.
Yeah, Dash ate at a Waffle House for the first time.
Which I know sounds crazy, but we've tried before. It's just always been so full that it's like, it's going to be an hour wait for the Waffle House. And it's like, there's a Denny's down the street.
Listen, I love Waffle House. I will never not love it.
Yeah.
It's such a just like quintessential American experience to me. The mugs.
Yeah.
The menu. They just make like 12 things.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they make them well.
Right.
I was watching them make the waffles. They put the batter in, and then to release, they do like an up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I wonder if that makes it like a little cakier in the middle or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was fascinated.
Huh. Learning how to make Waffle House waffles.
Yeah. So we're going to play a game today called Questions for Humans. Last I checked, we are both humans.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm a human. Can confirm. Of course, that is what an AI would say.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, it's questions for humans. On the box itself, I can't really find a company, but there is a message from the creator in it, and his name is John Deloney. Or Delaney. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just questions. You ask them back and forth.
Yeah.
And
this is the couples edition.
Yeah,
so,
this is the couples edition. So,
I mean, we were a former couple, so it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, we're a couple of friends now.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I'll ask you, and then we both answer.
Right. Yeah, I feel like
that's the easiest way on a road trip. I think.
Right. Because I can't read because I'm driving. Yeah.
You can read, for the record, but while you're driving, we don't recommend
we should not,
you are reading. Okay.
Right.
All right. So let's do some questions.
Yeah,
okay,
let's get
so first question.
And we love games like this because it's very much like, it's conversational, which is good for the podcast.
What's a basic fact about life you didn't learn until you were an adult?
Ooh.
That's such a good question.
That is a great
A basic
question.
fact about life you didn't learn until you were an adult.
How to pronounce awry?
A-W-R-Y.
Right, because I had always heard the word awry, like, oh, things have gone awry. But in books, it's spelled A-W-R-Y, so I always read it as Ari.
Which is valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never connected the two words. So.
On that note, for me, it was the name Siobhan.
Yeah.
Because I had heard the name Siobhan as a name in a show or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had read the name Siobhan, but did not pronounce it that way because it's Irish spelling. And so it was only when I saw a play of a book that I had read with a character named Siobhan that I finally was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. It's not Siobhan as I thought it was. It's Siobhan.
Right.
Yeah.
I also learned way later than I probably should have that it's Sean and not Scene.
Again, Irish spelling.
Yeah.
Irish spelling is a wild ride
Yeah.
for anybody who's into it. It's a wild ride.
So there's a lot of that. Let's see, basic human fact that you learned as an adult. Well, we were just talking about this earlier, that the story of like Columbus and the first Thanksgiving and all that stuff is like romanticized when you're a kid. And then
There's a lot of history stuff I didn't learn as an adult. I didn't know anything about Japanese internment camps in the U.S. until I was fully in my 20s.
Yeah, right.
Mid-20s, I think. I had no idea.
That's history that we don't talk about because it makes America look bad, so they don't teach it in the schools.
And I had never... There is a book that many students read in school called Farewell to Manzanar, but I had never read it. Because I guess when we did World War II stuff, it was always like Holocaust, which, yes, is important to learn about.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had never read Farewell to Manzanar, which is a whole memoir about leaving Manzanar, a camp. So that was a fact that kind of I had to sit with for a minute.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, I just think there's a lot of like, we're the heroes of this story, blah, blah, blah. And then you realize that the stories are written by the winners.
Yeah.
So obviously they're going to make themselves look like the heroes in the stories.
Or they're trying to convince you that you're the winners.
Right, yeah. Or they're trying to convince you that you're the winners when you're not.
They're the winners, yeah.
So.
Also just basic life facts of like, being an adult is pretty much just like feeding yourself 3 times a day until you die. And like, that is such an exhausting thought.
Yeah. And constantly cleaning your kitchen.
You just have to feed and water yourself all day, every day until you die.
Yeah, right.
Gosh.
It is both sad, but also, I mean, I guess it's life. That's
right.
What it is, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. What's on your anti-bucket list, which is things you'd never want to do? Your anti-bucket list.
I never want to help anybody move ever again.
Yes.
I'm gonna, because I'm a good person and I love my friends, and if they need my help, I'll help them. But like, man, every time you need help, like, here's what I want. Okay, if you're asking me to help you come move, I want your stuff already in boxes. I want the van already there waiting to be loaded, right? I want to come in, pick up boxes, put them in the van, take them out of the van, put them in your new house, right? And leave.
Eat a piece of pizza, drink a beer, leave.
Sure, right? Yeah. Like, I don't want to show up and you're still like, we still need to put away the pans and our DVD collection is still out. Like, what do you think? What is life? Right? Like, there's that. I think there's I don't want to go to another summertime outdoor wedding in my life ever again. Ever. Every time.
Really, just in Florida, any outdoor wedding at any time of year is going to be probably hot as Hades.
Like, I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and she mentioned she was getting married, and I said, congratulations, the whole 9 or whatever. Oh, when's the wedding? She said July. And I said, is it indoor or outdoor? She says outdoor. My next question was, why do you hate your family and friends? Why would you do that to them? Turns out her sister was getting deployed, so they needed to have it before she got deployed. But, like, then have it indoors.
Sure.
I know outdoors seems like a beautiful, scenic, whatever. But number one, it's Florida. Like, it's whatever. And it's either going to be hot and everybody's in formal attire, or it's going to rain. It will rain. It's going to rain.
You will not know until the day of, and maybe not even then. Yeah. I've got a couple. I don't ever want to climb a mountain. I'm not interested in that.
Fair.
I'm not interested in that at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to climb a mountain. I barely want to hike.
Sure.
A hill.
Right.
I do not want to climb a mountain. If I never rode a bicycle again, I would not be mad. I hate riding bicycle. I don't want to drive a race car. I'm not interested. Unless I was the only one on the track and I could just drive it very
I
slowly.
mean, that's usually how it is when civilians drive race cars. We're the
Yeah,
only
but the
ones on
point is
track.
that you want to drive it fast, right?
Sure,
That's
yeah,
why it's
right.
a race car.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I'm scared of driving
Okay.
really fast.
I would take the opportunity to, like, I wouldn't say no to it. If somebody was like, hey, as a team building exercise, we're going to go to a racetrack and you're going to drive a race car around the track by yourself, which I know is, kind of anti-team building, but, like if somebody
We're
paid
going
for
to team build by making you do a thing by yourself.
But we're all going to support that person is
Yeah.
my point, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't say no to driving a race car.
I don't want to get struck by lightning.
I kind of do.
Do you?
Yeah,
I've been electrocuted a couple of times.
So, I mean, same, but
I don't.
I want to get struck by lightning and survive. That would be okay, but like, I don't know. Kind of wonder what it would like. What the before is, what the feeling right before is, what the after is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could read about it. That's good enough for me, I think.
Maybe the electricity burns all the fat off my body. I don't know. There might be bonuses to it.
You just instantly become bacon? Like,
right.
Yikes. Yikes.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. If I never went to another club ever again, I would be okay.
Like an club. Yeah. Same.
I mean, listen.
I'll go for happy hour before the music gets too loud.
Right. Yeah. Like I carry earplugs with me. I'm not the person to invite to a club.
Yeah, man. Something happens to your hearing when you hit like late 30s. Yeah. Where really, and I think that was like one of the moments in my life where it's like, okay, I'm an adult. Mm-hmm. Where you walk in somewhere and you're like, it's just a little too loud.
Yeah.
It's just too loud for me in here.
A part of it is also that sound engineering is part of my job. So I need to be able to hear things.
Yeah, true.
And if you do damage to your, it's irreparable. You can't. And I had a scare one time when I was in a wrestling match, and my friend smacked me, but he smacked me a little bit too hard and caught my ear.
Ooh.
And actually punctured my eardrum. And I was scared that like, oh, that's it. This eardrum is never going to get, but it did. It ended up fixing itself. But I was scared for a while. And after that, I was just like, no, I can't. Like, you go to a loud thing and you go home and you can still hear the ringing in your ears afterwards.
That's bad.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, I can't do this. So now if I'm ever around, like if I go to a concert or I go to, I'm woodworking in my backyard or whatever, like I have earplugs that I put in to protect my hearing.
And maybe that's also going back to question number 1, 2 basic facts. Kids out there, take care of your hearing.
Seriously.
And wear sunscreen. These are 2, everyone tells you that when you're growing up, but really, really do it. Like, really take care of your hearing and also wear sunscreen if you're going to be in the sun.
Yes. Probably the 2 greatest. And you don't think about it, you're like, I'm not going to worry about that now.
Let Tia, Allie, and Theo Dash tell you. Please.
Yes. Wear sunscreen and protect your hearing.
Protect your ears. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you look up to when you were a kid and why?
Fantastic question.
Let's take parents out of it.
Sure.
Most kids, I think, look up to their parents.
Yeah, right.
So that's a given.
Yeah. There was one of my friends had an older cousin who like lived in Brooklyn, and every now and again he would come visit. And like we were street urchins, right? Like we just ran around the streets playing baseball or football or whatever. And he was an older kid, like he was in high school at the time, so we looked up to him, even though we probably shouldn't. He was just an older kid, but like he was a good older kid. He wasn't like how do I say that? Like there were other older kids in our neighborhood, but they were all into like drugs and being little gangsters and being whatever. He would come from out of town and he was an older kid, but he was like a good role model.
Yeah.
Right. So like I always kind of looked up to him and I enjoyed hanging out and like hearing the things that he had to say about what like girls were like in high school, what it was like to be able to drive a car, like that kind of stuff, because he wasn't telling me like the bad things that, he wasn't locker room talking about girls. He was like legitimately giving advice about women.
Showed basic human respect.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Which is something that you don't get.
Yeah.
When you're a teenage boy.
I mean, I do have to say, there's a special role that like older cousins play.
Yeah.
Because I have an older cousin. I thought she was the coolest, prettiest person in the world. And now that I'm older, like we didn't have that much of an age difference. I think it's like 5 or 6 years, which now isn't that big. But when you're 12 and she's like 18, you're like, oh my God, like she, like, it's everything. Actually, no, I don't think we're that far apart even. I don't think we're even 6 years apart. But she was just old enough to where like I was in middle school, she was in high school. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, she's so cool.
Right. Yeah, like I said, this guy was maybe 3 or 4 years older than me.
Right.
Which, like, right now, we would totally be friends. Like, if
yeah, exactly.
But back then, it was
when
like,
you're a kid,
whoa,
4 years is like, oh, you're grown.
Right. Yeah, when you're, like, in 7th and 8th grade, and, you know, the older cousin comes and he's, like, a sophomore or a junior, you're like, you're the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Right?
What a dynamic.
That's a huge gap.
It's huge when you're a kid. Yeah. Shout out to older cousins.
Yeah, shout out to older cousins.
Y'all out here holding it down.
Right.
We appreciate you, older cousins.
He was also Dominican, which I appreciated because it also gave me a look into, like, yes, you're Hispanic like I am, but we're a different Hispanic. So that was cool. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Other than my older cousin, who else did I look up to?
I also probably looked up to some people I shouldn't have looked up to.
Of course.
Like Zach Morris, who was trash.
Turns out he was trash.
Yeah. Like if you reevaluate all the things Zach Morris was doing that was cool back in the day, like you go to look at it now and you're like, oh, no, Zach was a selfish.
Have you heard there's some theory that Zach Morris is actually like the villain and it was some spin-off of some other show?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I know it was Saved by the Bell was a spin-off of Good Morning Miss Bliss, and then they just retroactively named Good Morning Miss Bliss Saved by the Bell.
No, there was something where like Zach Morris was a character, but he was like the bad boy in school.
Oh,
and so this is like him telling the story. So of course he's the hero of the story.
Yeah. He's a flawed narrator.
I forgot what it was.
Yeah, he's definitely unreliable narrator. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an unreliable narrator.
Like Ted in How I Met Your Mother. Since he's the one telling the story, he makes he made Barney look like more of a womanizer than he actually was. Right. Because he's telling the story and Barney's the one who eventually ended up with Robin.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the series, but at this point it's like 10 years old.
At this point there's a spin-off that's already 2 seasons in. So
yeah, right.
You probably can see on the internet.
Right.
Okay. When was the last time you cried?
Huh.
I can tell you mine.
Okay. I was yours now.
Well, I'll say last time I got choked up.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about therapy sessions because I cry. I mean, that's the point of therapy. But I was teaching rhetorical analysis, and I have a commercial playlist because I like to have they write a paper on visual rhetoric, so they being my students write a paper on visual rhetoric, so I have them practice with commercials because commercials, the purpose is really, really clear, right? So how are they trying to get you to spend the money? What images do you see? Blah, blah, blah. So one of the commercials on that playlist is a Chevy commercial, and the Chevy commercial, it's Maddie. And it starts off, it kind of goes back in time with this woman and her dog. And so you see, I'm going to cry right now talking about it. You see her and the dog like gets out of or you see her like petting the dog. It's clear the dog's older.
Okay.
And then you see the dog get out of the car and she kind of gets groceries.
Yeah.
And then it goes all the way back to when she first gets the dog, when she's like in whatever, 5th grade or something. And it's subtle because you see the Chevy like in the background the whole time. But I guess the idea is, they're just as reliable and just as important a part of your life as your pets are.
Yeah.
But I hadn't watched it since my dog died in March.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm watching it and I just got really choked up because any commercial with a dog in it chokes me up. But I hadn't watched it since my dog died in March.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
I just
It
got
gets you
really
right in the
choked
feels,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So the last time I cried was in the Pokemon movie when, no, I'm
Okay.
kidding. No, probably when I was making the video for Lancelot, actually. Yeah. Now, once you mentioned that, I was like, oh, yeah, that was fairly recent. That was probably the last time, yeah. Like when so when Allie's dog passed away, the way that I deal with these things is to get creative and honor with whatever I saw. I had tons of footage and tons of photos and stuff of Lancelot from, because he's my little buddy.
Yeah.
And I put a bunch of it together for Allie, and I told her she could watch it when she was ready.
Yeah. Which turned out to just be about a month ago. I think I watched it. I was able to watch it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to bring you down, folks.
Yeah, not to bring you down, but also if you lose a pet, I get it, and it's okay. Your feelings are valid.
Right. Yeah.
And no one really talks about it a lot, but
Sure.
it's okay to be sad for as long as you're sad.
Yeah.
New question.
Moving on. Moving on to a new question as we get on 95 South. 95 South. We're not taking the turnpike. You know what that means?
What does it mean?
It means that there's no rest stops. That we're gonna have to stop at Wawa.
We're gonna have to stop at Wawa. We've been to 2 already.
Yeah.
So, Wawa, please. We love you. We love you.
Yeah. If anybody who's listening to this works for Wawa, drop our names. We'd adore you.
We only use you for road trips.
Yes.
Actually, we just made a pact when we got back in the car. We said every time we do a road trip, we only stop at Wawa unless there's a Buc-ee's, in which case we're allowed to stop at one Buc-ee's because neither of us have ever been to a Buc-ee's.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
So that's a pact.
But also, there is now a Wawa a block away from my apartment and less than a mile away from my parents' place. So I get coffee there every single day. So I sing your praises, Wawa. All right, next question.
Who's taught you most about money? And you can't say Dave Ramsey. Well, I wouldn't say that anyway.
Who's Dave Ramsey?
He is a money guy. He's a
Yeah.
Christian money guy.
The person who has taught me most about...
I actually know someone who works for Dave Ramsey.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. No, person who's taught me most about money is my dad, because he's an accountant, and he has been an accountant most of his career, so any money advice I get from him. But if we're trying to not mention parents...
It's not that we're not trying to not mention parents,
but it just seems like the obvious answer, right? Like, so my dad has taught me a lot because he's an accountant, but also there's a guy I used to work with, we'll call him Jack. Jack was very frugal, and we would sometimes make fun of how frugal he was, but Jack was also incredibly smart with his money.
Yeah.
So he started with nothing, right? And then he ended up buying a trailer with some land under it and lived in the trailer, or rather, no, he was like, stay with your parents, don't buy a new car, you don't need a new car, save up your money. Once he saved up enough money, he bought like a kayak or something. He fixed the kayak, sold the kayak, bought a boat, fixed the boat, sold the boat. Like, he just kept flipping things upwards.
Yeah.
Until he bought a trailer with land. Then he's still living with his parents. He's like, I didn't care. And if a girlfriend was like, I don't want to go out with you because you're living with your parents, he just wouldn't date that girl. Like, he was very much like, these are my goals. So he buys the trailer with land. He builds a small house on that land and starts renting out that small house. Using the money that he makes from renting out the small house, and it was like a 1-bedroom house.
Yeah.
But using that money to pay for the taxes on the land and to continue saving up money, he just kept like buying land in different locations, building a small house on it, renting it out until he could build a bigger house on the back lot of that small house. So now he's got a small house and a big house, and he just kept doing that. So he fully owns his house outright and is still making money off of the rent of the smaller houses.
Yeah.
It was genius. He's like, do this. Whenever you get a raise, I know a lot of times the first thing people want to do is get a better car. Like, don't. Keep living the life you're living now and save that extra money that you're now getting that you were living fine with before, right? But take that money, save it, and invest it. He's like, there's only two things, and this is the advice he gave. This is like the soundbite, I guess, if I had to do it. There are two things that don't go down in value after you buy them: land and Rolex watches. Everything else depreciates in value. You buy a car, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it depreciates in value. You're losing money. But land, you buy land, even if you don't do anything with it, after a year, it'll be worth X amount more than you paid for it. And people are always going to need land. I don't know why Rolex watches, but apparently Rolex watches also appreciate in value.
All right.
Yeah.
Note to self.
Yeah. I mean, Rolex watches are also like 10 grand for the cheapest one.
Oh,
so,
yeah, exactly.
Go.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I figured out. I actually don't know a lot about money. I'm still in the process of learning. Like, I'm real dumb about all of that stuff. And I watch YouTube videos. I like talk to my parents. I talk to people. But I'm not bad with money in that I like spend it carelessly or don't have savings or whatever. Like, I'm not like that. But I'm also not like, oh, my 401k is this and my blah, blah, blah and my investments and whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't have a written down budget. I don't know. I don't like thinking about it.
Yeah. I do have that.
But I do try not to spend money needlessly. Like, I did for a long time spend money needlessly, but now I'm much more conscious. But I don't think it's because of the money. I think it's more because of like the sustainability reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I don't need it, then there's no reason for me to buy it.
Sure.
And if I do need it, or if I want it, can I get it used or can I get it resold or something like that? Right. But yeah, that's more out of sustainability than out of frugality or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Pirate knight, cowboy, ninja, or princess?
Is pirate knight one thing, or is there a comma in between there?
It can be whatever you want, but there's a comma. Pirate, comma, knight, comma, cowboy, comma, ninja, or princess.
Ooh, interesting. I guess I want to say knight out of all of those. I like ninjas because they're more skilled, but I don't know. I'm a big sword and armor kind of guy.
Ninjas have swords.
Yeah, sword and armor. Ninjas are good too, though. I mean, I grew up with a Ninja Turtle, so.
Yeah.
Can I be a ninja knight?
Sure, why not?
There you go. I'm going to be a ninja knight.
Great. Let's hyphenate it.
Yeah.
You can be a multi-hyphenate. Pirate
a
seems...
Nightja. Or ninja with a K. It could be a ninja.
That's funny.
Yeah, there we go. TM, it's going to be on a shirt.
Yeah, ninja with a K. I'm going to say not pirate because, one, it was considered bad luck to have a woman on a ship for a long time.
Yeah.
So it would have just been me and a bunch of dudes, which seems both unsafe and very stinky.
Very precarious, yes.
Yeah, the stink of it all. Like, where are you taking a shower on a boat? You're not. You're not. Stinky. Gross. Night, also stinky, but...
It's also before toilet paper was a thing, so.
But maybe tolerable.
Yeah.
Cowboy, no, not interested. Too dusty. So many sneezes.
Right. Lots of cows.
I don't like cowboy boots. I don't think it's not a cute aesthetic, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it. A lot of people are attracted to that aesthetic. I am turned off by it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason I don't like country music is I don't want to see your jeans tucked into your cowboy boots.
Okay,
I don't want it.
Fair, yeah.
If that's what you like it.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop liking something because I don't like it. For me personally, it does nothing.
Sure.
Yeah, it does nothing. Not interested in cowboy. Ninja, my knees are bad. I don't think I would be good at being a ninja because my knees hurt too much. Seems like some squatting would be involved, jumping, not good. Princess seems boring. A lot of clothes to wear.
Yes.
A lot of just people
A lot
around
of
you
layers.
constantly.
Yeah.
So many layers, so many rules. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem fun. But being a knight seems kind of fun.
Yeah.
You just kind of ride around and you get to have a horse, which seems great.
Yeah. Right.
You get to, challenge someone to a duel and then maybe just not show up,
Yeah,
which seems
right.
kind of great.
Jousting, lots of jousting.
Jousting seems awful, but could be kind of fun.
Sure.
Right? And there's like a gentlemanly sort of
Right. There's a
vibe to it, which
yeah.
I like. I'm going to say knight also.
I'm down for it. You ever watch that last movie with Matt Damon and Adam Driver
No.
where they were knights?
No.
I need to watch it. I heard it was really good and I just never got around to it.
Was it called like Damon and Driver Knights or something?
I don't remember.
42?
No, definitely. No, you're talking 65?
Oh, there's one Adam Driver movie that the title is a number.
65.
Okay. Is it that?
No, it's another
Oh,
one.
okay. 42 is a baseball movie.
Yes, it is.
About
And
Jackie
it's-
Robinson,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Whatever. Movies that are numbers, it's hard to keep track of.
There was a Roger Maris movie that was a number also. It was the number of home runs he hit. But it was the number of the asterisk.
And then there's the 27 hours. That's a number.
27
movie.
hours. 127 hours.
127 hours. Yikes.
Yeah, 27 hours isn't that bad. Like, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's
cut
just,
your arm off.
it's just over a day. 127, yeah, you might cut your arm off.
Yeah.
Spoiler, the guy cuts his arm off. Okay. Should we do one more?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
one more.
let's do one more. What do I do that makes you feel confident?
Huh. I always feel like I can tell you anything, right? Like, you're not going to judge me for whatever I tell you. So that's...
And if I am judging you, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and you do. And you do. But I still
Yeah.
tell you. So
Yeah.
it's fine. Because it's coming from a place of love, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm judging you from a place of love.
Right. Right? Speak the truth in love.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do I do that makes you feel confident?
I can talk to you about things that I don't feel confident about, like especially like performance wise and things like that. And you make me feel like at least I'm heard, that like my feelings are valid. And you may challenge that and say like, no, actually, like
Right.
from my point of view, it wasn't what you thought, or it didn't seem that way or whatever.
Right.
And that also helps like dismantle. But yeah, I think it's just, if I'm not feeling confident, then you at least listen and entertain why I might
Right.
feel that way. And then if it needs to be challenge it.
I've tried to be
Which is
better just in general, mostly from the longevity of my relationship with you, but I'm trying to be better about validating feelings before I challenge what people are saying. In general.
Yeah,
I know-
I try to do that with my students too.
Yeah.
Right. Like I hear what you're saying. I understand why you feel
Right.
that way,
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Right. Because like 10 years ago, I wasn't like that. Right. In my head, we're having a conversation 10 years ago. We're having a conversation. You're my friend. You're telling me a thing. For some reason in my head, I was like, your feelings are already validated. You're feeling your feelings. But I disagree, or I don't think you're looking at it the right way. So I'm going to try to have you see it from another angle. But I would skip the step where I was validating your feelings.
Because
Right.
that's the thing, right? You can't change somebody's feeling. They're
Right.
feeling what they're feeling, but you can add to their perspective of it.
Uh-huh.
You can provide your own point of view on it,
Right.
and that might help change the feelings, but you can't like make someone stop feeling something,
Right.
right? I mean, Bonnie Raitt said it. I can't make you love me if you don't.
Yeah.
You're right, Bonnie.
Right.
You can't make your heart feel something it won't.
Yeah.
That's a depressing way to end.
No, here's the positive thing. If you haven't been doing this and your friend wants to talk to you, or your friend is feeling a particular way about anything really, and you don't think your friend is seeing it the right way or seeing themselves the right way, still validate their feelings. That's important. Validate their feelings. Understand that for some reason they're looking at something a certain way, right? And that doesn't invalidate it. So validate them and then talk to them about it, right? Like,
or understand what they want out of the
Yes.
conversation, right?
Right.
Sometimes they don't want your point of view. Sometimes they just
Right.
want to say, I feel mad at so-and-so because of X, Y, and Z.
yes,
Great. They don't want you to fix it.
right,
They just want to tell somebody why they're mad.
right. Yeah, your friend comes to you and tells you that they've had a rough day at work because X, Y, and Z, and you're like, well, but X doesn't really make sense. But understand and validate that at the time, in that position, your friend felt that way about X, Y, and Z,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's okay. You can feel something and be wrong about it. You can feel something and be right about it. You know, what you feel doesn't necessarily reflect directly what actually happened, but you
Feelings-
still felt that way.
Feelings are never reality.
Right.
Feelings are,
I mean, sometimes they're reality.
I don't know.
If somebody's upset with me and I feel like they're upset with me, but they're like, no, it's fine, everything's fine. But they might actually be upset with me. Right?
Yes.
So yeah. So that's the takeaway. That's the positive takeaway from this is if you notice now, like, validate your friends and your family members and whoever else puts their trust in you to tell you something.
This just straight up turned into an advice episode.
I know.
We're like fully living that DO and Tia life right now.
Yeah.
Go out into the world, little nieces and nephews, little ghosties.
Yeah.
Validate your friends' feelings, protect your hearing, put on some sunscreen, learn about money.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the takeaways.
Learn how to use Excel because that is so great for keeping a budget. It's not even funny.
And for texting Nelly in 90s music videos. So if you want to text either Nelly or Kelly Rowland, you can do that in the 90s with an Excel spreadsheet.
Apparently,
if you want to do that.
Just going to keep coming back to that. It's never going away.
It's never going away.
Yeah. Do we want to rate these, or are they just playing cards?
Yeah, let's rate it. So here's our box.
Yeah. It's matte coated.
It's matte coated. It's very simple. It just has questions for humans, couples. You know, there's not a lot of bells and whistles on it. It's pretty plain, kind of straightforward
Deck of playing cards.
deck of playing cards. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm gonna give it a grocery store bouquet of yellow daisies. It just is what it is.
Yeah, okay.
It's lovely. You can bring it home if you want.
Yeah.
But it is just very clearly what it is.
Yeah.
Cards themselves, they're good. I like the way they shuffled. They shuffled really nice.
Yeah.
They're not super stiff. I mean, and this is the first time we've used it, so they're not super stiff immediately.
Okay.
Kind of nice and pliable.
Right out of the pack?
Right out of the pack, yeah. I'm going to give them like a wooden butter knife. Right? It's not a plastic one where you're like, you push too hard, you're going to break it.
Right, yeah.
But it's not like a nice silver one. It's
Right.
like right there in the middle of like, this is functional.
Okay.
And solid.
Fair.
Yeah. Questions themselves, playability, super easy.
I mean, you ask a question, you answer a question.
Yeah. Ask, answer. You're supposed to listen also.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's
Well,
part of the rules.
they're already doing that.
Yeah,
So.
it's part of the rules. I had a good time.
Yeah, I had fun with it.
I had a good time.
Because they were deep thought questions, but not so deep that it was like, and then I talked to my uncle because, right? Like it didn't tap into the deepest recesses of my soul.
Yeah, you
For an
didn't need to
answer
get
either.
cracked wide open in order
Right.
to
Yeah.
answer the questions.
But they're good conversation
And
starters for
also,
couples, I think.
like that some of them were individual questions and some of them were like, what is it about me that affects you in this way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some single and some like, how does my being affect your being?
Sure.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
I like that.
Maybe it's like playing tennis. Like sometimes you play singles, sometimes you play doubles. It's all
There
good.
you go.
It's
Yeah.
all good. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. As always, we have merch. We haven't said that in a long time.
Oh, right. We do have merch.
We have merch.
Yeah. Check out the link in our bio, or visit playdatepod.us. We have t-shirts like these Came to Game t-shirts that we're wearing.
And other various and sundry items.
Yeah.
So go there and get some merch if you want it. And
everything you buy off our thing helps support our podcast and helps us buy new games and stuff like that.
And do all the things.
Yeah. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. That helps us in the algorithm and helps other people find us. If you like our podcast, share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
we
the
say at
best
the end of
endorsement is like a word of mouth.
Right, yeah.
But mostly everybody, thank you. Really, really thank you for listening. We always appreciate it.
Yeah.
We feel lucky that we get to make a little podcast for y'all. So thank you for listening. And with that, bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Now we'd love to hear from you.
You can visit playdatepod.us to watch our videos,
Access our episode library,
find out more about our brand of quality, clean comedy,
and contact us with any questions or comments.
Improvisers love audience suggestions, so make sure you visit playdatepod.us.
And the podcast you just heard was a production of Society Circus Players.
If you like what you heard today, please rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend.
And finally, if life's a circus, we're the clowns!
My eye is itching. Now my nose is itching. As if my face just... my whole face is just going to itch incrementally until the end of this
just
road
the whole
trip.
face.
The whole